to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. Well, hello and welcome into this Thursday's movie news. I am John, getting later and later every night, but I'm here and I'm here to speak about movie news. I look white as hell because you know what? That camera keeps setting to a default ISO. That is not what I'm setting before shows, so I'm going to have to sort that at some point in the show. If I don't want to look like a Promethean, I'm going to quickly bring it over to this screen just to see how I'm looking. You know what? I don't look bad, so we'll just rock with what we've got. Incidentally, it's saying that the bitrate is incredibly low in this show, so it may be stuttering. I may be all over the place. There's nothing I can do about it. Our internet is shite, and it will be getting sorted in the course of the next 2 weeks, and then I'll be streaming blissfully. No issues whatsoever. But look, technical issues aside, me looking like a Promethean from a Jim Cameron movie aside, let's speak about movie news. The headline today is all about the streaming services. Are they the death of cinema as we know? Are they the death of entertainment? Or are they a boon? Are they giving people more choice, more diversity than ever before? Well, it seems like the consumers have spoken, and they have spoken with their money and with their subscriptions. 1 billion global subscriptions has been hit, by these streaming services as a whole, not just Netflix, but Netflix, Apple TV Plus, Disney Plus, the whole shebang. They have managed to hit 1 billion subscriptions worldwide. I couldn't believe that number when I read it about an hour ago setting up this show. It was a huge number. We are in a world of Lord knows how many. What is it? 7 billion people live in this world? 6 billion people? We are in incredible times when you have got all these subscription services, these streaming services as a whole getting 1 billion subscriptions. It just shows you where we are now in entertainment and where it's going to be going from now on. I can't see post-pandemic how we get back to the way we were with this sort of stringent way of consuming movies straight out of theatres, having to wait 3 months. I just can't see that happening. I can't see us going back to a time where we wait 4 or 5 months for a movie to hit home video. It ain't going to happen. Times have changed. They are a-changing, as the great Bob Dylan once says. I cannot see a situation where we don't have what we've been enjoying in this pandemic continuing beyond, with the likes of Disney restructuring their entire company to focus on streaming. And obviously, what that encompasses, on-demand, premium VOD, and just getting the movies out after they've been in theatres as quickly as possible to just, I don't know, piggyback off of the hype, off of the hopeful success they get in theatres. And the likes of Warner Brothers will be the same. But look, this is what it's saying. It's coming in from Screen Rant. It's The Wrap who have broke this exclusive, and they've says the Motion Picture Association's an annual theme report has marked the total number of online video service subscriptions at over 1 billion. The report also shows that while box office revenue plummeted due to coronavirus closures, overall industry revenue wasn't hurt as badly because of the massive spread of streaming and other home media services. Obviously, the balance will tip back towards movie theatres after the pandemic is over, but the dominance of streaming is probably here to stay. I don't think it will tip back towards the theatres after the pandemic is over. I don't think we're going back to that time. I think the streaming services are here. They've been like piranhas to blood and water. They have sensed the demand for entertainment during unprecedented times, during a global pandemic. They have seized that opportunity with both hands and some. We've seen the likes of, Paramount Plus coming out. All of these big studios are trying to harness the sort of crest of a wave as well. Money and subscriptions aren't the only metrics by which streaming is becoming the preeminent media platform either. For the second year in a row, Netflix will enter the Oscars with more nominations than any other studio, with 35 total this time around. The range of content being produced for streaming platforms has expanded to include many more feature-length films, and as well as original comedies, drama series, documentaries and kids programming. So I think that's the absolute key here. Not only are they getting more eyeballs than ever before, but they are producing high calibre content. Nobody would subscribe to these streaming services if the content was below par, it was shit. They'd walk away, they wouldn't give their hard-earned cash. But these streaming services as a whole are producing high calibre content with high calibre directors, actors, crew members, writers, everything. It is seamless. You can go into a theatre and watch a movie, you go home and watch a Netflix production like The Crown. Seamless. So the quality is there, And it is there to such an extent that even the butthurt folks at the Academy, who are probably of a similar mindset to Steven Spielberg, and look, I understand what Spielberg was saying. You can't have this Goliath and Netflix putting movies in left, right and centre, funding them, but not having the expectancy and the weight of box office on their shoulders, deeming it a failure or a success. They have to be more transparent with how they show how costs of movies and how it's went over to the audiences. You have that populist side of things at the Oscars as well, even though it is about art and how good a movie is and the performances. It shouldn't be a populist because we don't have a populist category, but it is. It is. And understand what Spielberg's saying. They're taking over, but that has its pros and its cons. And as I was about to say before I went off on that tangent, they are producing high calibre content to such an extent that they are getting 35 nominations at an event like the Oscars. So it's clearly there, man. The demand's there. People want to see it. They want to see great TV shows like Stranger Things, The Crown, whatever the hell, The Queen's Gambit is another one. They want to see good movies getting made like The Devil All Around and Enola Holmes. Decent calibre movies hitting this streaming service. And that's clearly manifested itself in the 1 billion mark being hit by subscribers. It's a truly astonishing mark. No greater fueled by Disney's rise to prominence in the last year or so. It's coming up for renewal in our household, £60, and I think that's a great bit of entertainment you're getting for a very small price. So I will continue to subscribe to as many as I can. We don't get HBO Max here, but we have got Prime, we've got Netflix, we've got Apple TV Plus, we've got Disney Plus, and we've got Sky. So I'm one of these people fueling this rise of streaming. And whilst I do love going to the theatres, and I think that ultimately will come back and it will have its renaissance, I don't see how we get back to the way we were before. I think streaming's here to stay. Instant gratification's here to stay. The studios have rightly realised this. They are restructuring the way they brand movies, the way they publicise movies, how long movies will be in theatres. So they're smart guys and they've realised it's going to change irrevocably. But look, I'm changing on to another topic, man, because I'm done speaking about that. Speaking about streaming services and movies, high calibre movies, getting onto them, we could perhaps be seeing Disney's Black Widow hitting a streaming service very soon indeed. If Disney CEO Bob Chapek and the people over that Goliath movie studio as a whole don't deem it a right time to release it in theatres, because Chapek's been out speaking and he's had this to say. This is coming in from Cinema Blend. Black Widow was originally meant to arrive in theatres back in May of 2020 and was delayed 2 times as the studio held out hope for a full theatrical run. We're just 2 months away from its arrival and theatres in certain areas of this country are just starting to reopen. Bob Chapek was recently asked about the possibility of Black Widow arriving straight to homes, responding with a lengthy quote which I will get my teeth around and my tongue just now. Flexibility is something that we have been working against, and our situations and our conditions change. I mean, just a few weeks ago, theatres in New York and Los Angeles weren't even open. And now, all of a sudden, they're open. So we'll wait to see exactly how guests respond, prospective theatre goers respond to these reopenings, and we're going to remain flexible. We're going to make the call essentially, probably at the last minute, in terms of how films come to market, whether it's Black Widow or any other title. Now, I've put down there in that graphic bar, he reveals the chaos behind Black Widow's will it or won't it release setup, for lack of a better word. Strategy is probably the better word. And the reason I use chaos is because you would never in a million months of Sundays have seen this situation arise pre-pandemic with a company like Disney and a huge blockbuster release like Black Widow. They would not, in anyone's wildest dreams, have seen themselves in a situation where they leave it at the last minute to decide whether a $200 million movie hits the theatres or not. It's absolute insanity. It shows you where we are. And they've backed themselves into a corner with this movie. It's at the point now where people just want to move on to future stories, to future projects, future characters. They don't really care about Black Widow anymore. She's in the past, she's dead, she's not going to have an impact on the future of the MCU. And a year ago I would have been well up for going to see this movie multiple times to send Scarlett Johansson off with all of her love and gratitude for what she gave us in a decade's worth of great storytelling and character acting. But now, a year on, I'm done with it, man. I don't really give a shit, and therefore I don't care whether they assess it to the last minute or not. I don't even care if this movie hits the theatres or not. I will be equally happy watching this movie on Disney Plus. whilst also consuming great projects like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, Hawkeye, the full shebang, the What If series, and then moving on in theatrical sense, watching these movies like Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man 3, Multiverse of Madness, and moving on, man, and watching the movies that are relevant to the future in the theatres. Just get this thing out, man. Anyway, come what may, get it out. I don't give a shit whether it's in theatres, streaming service. Get it out, Shepek, and move on to the future. Like No Time to Die. Move on, man. Get a new Bond in. We're waiting until this movie's seen by the world before we announce a Bond. Just fucking move on and give us some new stuff that's pertinent to the future. Not that this movie won't be, because we have got Florence Pugh's Yelena character in there. She could be the next Black Widow. I read somewhere recently they're not even letting Tom Holland and people involved in the Marvel side of things watch this movie, so there may be some spoilerific things revealed in this movie that are pertinent to the future of the MCU, but for right now, I just don't give a shit. Just get it out in Disney Plus, man. And if it has to hit the theatres, make a decision. Stick to it. Just get it out, like your man Nolan and Warner Brothers did 7 months ago with Tenet. They took a hit, but it went out in theatres and they honoured the man's wish. That's what they should do with this movie, man. Be done with it. But moving on, I'm done with that. Speaking about Kevin Feige, and speaking about Bob Chapek, and speaking about Marvel and Disney and the MCU, we had rumours, we had full-on publications. I think it was The Wrap or someone like that anyway, a well-respected publication in Hollywood who know their stuff when it comes to exclusives and things like that. They don't go out on a whim and make shit up. We had them reveal that Chris Evans could potentially be coming back to reprise his role as, of course, Steve Rogers, Captain America in the MCU. Now, I'm wearing my Captain America hat. I cringe wearing this hat now. I never used to have the shield. I wore this hat all the time. I was happy. Now I've got the shield on the wall and I wear this hat. I just feel like an absolute goon wearing it. But I do love the hat, man, and I want to continue wearing it. So just ignore the shield behind me and focus on this one. I'm a fan of Captain America. I'm a fan of the Avengers and Marvel and all comic book movies in general. So, don't think that's going to cloud my judgment when I speak about this movie, but needless to say, Kevin Feige, as I've said down there, in a less, diplomatic way, he's pissed on the Captain return parade, because it looks as though he's saying it might not happen. This is coming in from Empire. I actually seen another channel covering this yesterday, and they have a similar kind of view to me on this, and that they think that it is smoke and mirrors, and that Cap will return. It's inevitable. I even think that Tony Stark will return. If it's maybe an AI version like Jarvis, I think this guy will be back at some point. You just cannot have these actors floating around and not have them in this MCU. It's John Campea says, leading into the WandaVision finale, it's the Marvel fake death cinematic universe. No one is truly dead in this universe, no matter what. The likes of Feige or Evans say, no one is truly dead. The door is always opened. So I think they will come back at some point. That's me revealing my hand straight off the bat. But this is what he's had to say. He says, the Falcon and Winter Soldier, blah, blah, blah. They spelled the rumours. I rarely answer no to anything anymore, because things are always surprising me with what happens. But that rumour, I think, was dispelled rather quickly by the man himself. And he says that to Entertainment Weekly. And where he's getting that from, news to me, and a little shrug. Now, I don't know what Kevin Feige's interpretation of dispelling something himself means, but that ain't dispelling it, man. That was tongue-in-cheek, a little short shrift response on Twitter. He'd get wind of the rumours, the furore on social media about his potential return. He puts that little tongue-in-cheek thing on Twitter. That ain't concrete, man. That isn't dispelling nothing. That's leaving the door wide open. He's just saying news to me. That doesn't mean shit. So, I'll get into it now. I can understand why Feige's doing this. We're coming into Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's a project that's going to handle the legacy of Captain America. Who gets to wear the shield? Who has the right? Government interference. The US agent guy is going to come in. There's going to be a fugitive style thing going on. We're going to have, will it be Bucky? Will it be Sam? Will it be some other guy holding a shield? And when you're coming into a project like this, set to premiere tomorrow, and we've already had people watch the first episode, and I'm absolutely raging about that. But when you're coming into this project, the last thing you want the head of Marvel doing is coming in and saying, yes, Captain America is coming back, Steve Rogers will be back in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and completely rendering Falcon and the Winter Soldier a lame duck. It'd be suicidal in terms of promotion, suicidal in terms of story. He will let this TV show play out over the course of the next 2.5 months, or however long it is, 2 months. And then if there's going to be something to be said about Captain America perhaps returning after that, then it will be announced then he's not going to come out and say, yes, he's coming back. Neither is Chris Evans. That's not how it works. I believe the rap. I think he will be back. But I tell you what, see if he didn't come back, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Because ultimately he had 10, 11 years at this character. He gave his all. The character had its arc. He went back with Peggy Carter and he lived happily ever after. We seen old man Cap come back. He handed the shield off. It was a poignant and a brilliant end. It was poetic. So if he's done with the character, and I seen Chris, as I said last night, doing an interview with Scarlett Johansson. They were speaking about their career, about Marvel, about all of their stuff. And he spoke about coming back to the character. He never ruled it out. He said never say never. But ultimately it'd have to be something really special. He come back and re-portray the character because he gave it all. So if it ain't to be, so be it, man. He had a good run at it. The character was epic. The door's shut. That's absolutely fine. We move on with Sam. We move on with Bucky. We move on with Shang-Chi. All of the new guys. Absolutely fine by me. But also, if he comes back, I'll be in that theatre like a little bitch, screaming my head off, celebrating it. So I think he'll come back. Ultimately, that's what I'm saying. I don't think Feige's telling the truth there. I think he's telling pokey pies. Lies, as we like to say over here. Moving on to the next topic though, it just keeps going on about Marvel. We've got Zack Snyder's Justice League out today. I've not watched it yet, I will. And all I'm doing is speaking about Marvel. I'm being a contrary shit. All I did in the last 2 days is speak about Zack Snyder, DC, Justice League. And now I'm speaking about Marvel the day it comes out. What can I say? There's no news, guys. And that's why I'm speaking about this. Some polling company algorithm bullshit, I don't know what it is, it's come out and crowned Avengers Endgame the best superhero movie of all time. It was a study. That was the word I was looking for. It wasn't an algorithm. It wasn't anything. It was a study. And I briefly skimmed over this topic. In a sense, I read that this jargon here, and I moved straight all the way back down to the bottom, where they ranked the top 10 superhero movies of all time. And I kind of wanted to see if that married with my views on it. In a sense, it was some study. They used a whole array of different things. IMDb audience rating, which is nonsense. Critical rating from Metacritic, all of this shenanigans, worldwide box office. And they put together this package of movies, the top 10 superhero movies ranked. And they've got Avengers Endgame at number 1, they've got Joker at number 2, Black Panther at 3, Infinity War at 4, The Dark Knight at 5, The Dark Knight Rises at 6, Avengers the original at 7, The Incredibles 2, Wonder Woman at 10. Now, do I agree with Avengers Endgame getting ranked the number 1 superhero movie of all time? Well, as a spectacle, as a zeitgeist moment, as the crescendo, as the end of 11 years of blood, sweat and tears, you'd be hard pushed to vote against it. It was a truly tremendous experience watching that movie in the theatres, the portal scene, all of it. The moment Cap got Mjolnir, Tony Stark's huge sacrifice, Doctor Strange doing that to Stark, just so many epic moments in that. Even the Hulk reverse snapping, everyone seems to forget about the Hulk. It was an amazing movie. The time heist element, the humanity within the first hour, the darkness of it, it was an incredible movie. So I'd be hard pushed to vote against it, and sheer scale and the way they rounded up the Infinity Saga, it was special. So I would definitely put it at number 1. I can't think of anything that overrides it. But as you look through this list, Joker at number 2. I like Joker. I thought it was great. Joaquin's a great actor. And was it Todd Phillips? Who was it that directed that? Was it Todd Phillips? But it was a great movie. Whoever was involved, it was a great story. We Are a Society. It became a meme. I don't think it deserves to be at number 2 though, despite my enjoyment. I don't think I'd put it at number 2. It's all subjective. This is this guy's list. What's this studies list? And that's subjective as well. I don't care about box office takings and all that shit. I care about artistic merit. And Joker, being a good movie, I wouldn't have it that high in the top 10. I wouldn't have Black Panther anywhere near number 3 in a top 10 superhero movies list. It was a good movie, but it wasn't that good. How you can compile a superheroes movie top 10 list and not have Superman 2 in there? Or Spider-Man 2 I should say, or Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That's beyond me. Incredibles 2 gets in there ahead of Spider-Verse. That's just absolute blasphemy to me. Wonder Woman, you could have an argument. It was a very good movie. It spelled the sort of turning point for DC, so that could be in there. Dark Knight deserves to be much higher than that as well. I mean, come on, it's better than Infinity War. It's definitely better than Joker and Black Panther. That was a tremendous performance from Heath Ledger. And a singular performance. That movie deserves to be higher. So for me, Endgame, I think, is the number one, but the rest are most definitely arguable. Yeah. I don't agree with the Avengers being in there as well. I went to see that movie in the theatres. I thought it was very, very good, but there's movies better than that, man, that have come out. Come on. I mean, you could even argue there's movies out there that are better than that. I'm sorry. I agree with some of it. Some of it I don't agree with. So the study, ultimately, it's used all of these various different things to compile that list, and I agree with one. So what does that tell us? What does that educate? Is that everything is subjective. All art is subjective. One man's trash is another man's treasure, and you will never make everyone happy. So do not compile lists. It's toxic, man. It's incendiary. There's the words. I'm using the big words tonight. And on that note, I'm going to move on, guys, because I've got nothing else to add to it. I was going to make that the headline tonight. I thought that was controversial, and that may stoke some views, some tribalistic sort of views coming in. On the night that the Snyder Cut goes out, I put out a show saying that the Endgame's the greatest movie of all time. I didn't do it though. I didn't have the balls. And on that note, I'm moving on to this topic. This ain't going to be as long as the previous ones because there is no meat on the bones of this topic. It's in a sense an announcement that Ridley Scott and Stephen Knight are working on a World War II series, which leads to freedom. This is coming in from Empire, a website I absolutely despise for a number of reasons, but primarily because it never aligns in this little cutout I've got in the graphics. In OBS, it is bullshit. But yeah, you can see there, both Ridley Scott and Stephen Knight are people you might think already had enough going on. What's going on here? What's going on with this sentence? Already had enough going on, not to need more of a workload. That's horrendous English. Who wrote this? James White, get your shit together. How have you got into a writing position at Empire? I mean, it blows my mind. That and this graphic from earlier. People are getting paid to put this shit together. Look at my thumbnail on YouTube, man. It's a million times better. I flung that together in 5 minutes on Photoshop. It blows my mind, man, that people get paid for that shit. Ridiculous. Anyway, that's the next topic, but I've gave it away. But yeah, they're working on this World War II series. It is not yet a mini-series, Roads to Freedom. It's not yet got it's not been attached to a studio or a channel or a publisher or anything like that. But this just reeks of HBO. It just reeks of it. They do great things like this. They worked with Spielberg and Tom Hanks on the Pacific, Band of Brothers. They were supposed to get another TV show about the Battle of Britain from those two guys. That went cold. And they've worked, of course, on Chernobyl and a whole host, Game of Thrones, of great TV shows. It just, if the script is there and the cash right, it just reeks of HBO. I hope they buy the rights up to this. Needless to say, you've got all this here. It will portray different angles on the war from the usual US-UK centric focus. It will explore brutal realities from multiple viewpoints with characters from Russia, Germany, France, other countries across the globe. This includes women and children struggling to survive, the emphasis on humanity, the characters bound together by one dramatic story, which is World War II, and try to get out of it alive. According to Deadline, some of the storylines will be discomforting but heroic, and the race between East and West to capture Berlin will shed light on what became the foundations of the Cold War. That sounds like an amazing story. Multi-perspective, story-driven, drama-heavy, discomforting moments. War is discomforting. It's not all roses. There's some harrowing moments in war. And we've seen this captured in a whole array of different projects over the last 50, 60 years, man. Some great World War II movies. There's an obsession in certain quarters for that conflict. I'm one of the people obsessed with it. And all of the different stories you get within, personal stories, big bombastic action stories, introspective dark stories like Downfall, just amazing stories and TV shows and movies have been born out of this conflict. So hopefully this is another one, because we are getting some other thing coming out. I can't even recall what it's about, but I remember speaking about it. Something about, I think, the first SAS soldiers going over and going behind enemy lines. That sounded like an amazing project too. We are going to get some amazing World War II movies coming out in the future. I'm absolutely certain about it. We had The Hotman recently, Sophie Shaw, an array of brilliant. That Norwegian guy on the run Netflix movie, that was good as well. So I'm excited about this Ridley Scott and Stephen Knight dynamic duo. Hopefully they'll come up with magic. Hopefully it'll hit HBO Max and it'll be absolutely dynamite, man. And I cannot wait to see what comes of that. But I'm going to end the show on this, man. I ended the show on a crackpot topic last night, speaking about Rupert Grint's hair, and I'm ending the show. No, that was 2 nights back. Me and Stephen done a show last night. Solo show, I ended on a crackpot topic. Tonight I'm ending on another crackpot topic. That is a tongue twister and a half. And it's all about first Grey Man set photos leaking, or just getting put out there. And we were speaking about this movie last night. It's the Russo brothers. It's Ryan Gosling. It's Chris Evans. It's thriller. It's like The Fugitive. FBI, CIA agent gets betrayed. He's on the run. Everyone's trying to get this guy. It just sounds amazing. It's action heavy. It's the Russos. They know how to do action. It's two absolute dynamite leading men in this movie. I cannot wait to see this movie, man. I cannot wait to see the first teaser. I want to see a modern day retelling of The Fugitive, one of my favourite action movies starring the great Tommy Lee Jones and Harrison Ford. I was obsessed with that movie as a kid in the 90s growing up, and I'm still obsessed with it now. So if this is even a fifth of the goodness that we got in that movie, then I will be happy. But look, the first set photos have come in. It's Ryan Gosling. And I tell you what, I don't even think this is a set photo of the actual movie. I think that's just Ryan wearing his actual clothes, going to work on the set. Because this guy, I've seen his dress sense before, and he's got an interesting dress sense. I'm ending on dress sense because, to be quite frank, I seen the photo and I thought, that's some Carhartt jacket he's got on. I love the get-up, man. He's wearing Red Wings. I own a pair of Red Wings too. I really just wanted to celebrate this man's incredible taste in clothes. I mean, look at those Red Wings, mock-toe Red Wings, man. I've got them. Amazing boots. I love this guy's get-up. If that is in the movie, if that is the character he is playing, that's not just real-life Ryan Gosling appearing on the set, then I tell you what, I'm already excited for this movie, because on a set and costume design, like a purely costume design level, it's fucking well good. Looking at this setup, man, this guy looks dapper as hell. He's on the run for his life. He's running for his life, man, in a movie, and he's dressed like that. He's got time to dress like that, man. Excited about this movie. I really am. That's ending the show, man. I'm ending the show speaking about Ryan Gosling's amazing mint green Carhartt denim jacket, man. What a better way to end. Look, man, I'm done. What is your thoughts on the array of topics I spoke about? What do you make about these streaming services hitting a global 1 billion subscriber mark? Is that something you think is huge for the future of consumption of entertainment? That was a big line, big sentence. I don't know why I says the future of consumption of film, but I did. If you've got anything to say about that, if it intrigues you on any level, you can comment below. What's your thoughts on Chapek coming out from Disney and saying that they're leaving it to the very last minute to decide whether Black Widow is getting a theatrical release? What do you rate about Feige pissing on the Captain America Return to MCU parade? Is Avengers Endgame the greatest superhero movie of all time? What do you make about Ridley Scott penning a World War II movie and a TV show, and Ryan Gosling's get up in grey, man? Does that excite you for this movie even more? Because it does me, I tell you, man. Looking forward to seeing it. That could be an Oscar win in costume set design. But what is your thoughts on anything? You can comment down below if you've got anything to say at all. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it. You can subscribe to the channel on YouTube if you've enjoyed it and want to see more. You can also hit the follow button on Twitch if you're over there, if you want to see more content. My dog's snoring. I'm putting him to sleep. Am I putting you to sleep? Well, I'm ending the show, so good night. Bye-bye.